Arthur Peter Mutharika reshuffled his cabinet on 5th January 2026 and incorporated new faces into the government leadership. The new deputy ministers who have taken the oath of office and oath of allegiance are Toko Tembo, Deputy Minister of Agriculture, Irrigation and Water Development, Chipiriro Mpinganjira, Deputy Minister of Natural Resources, Edgar Tembo, Deputy Minister of Industrialization, Business, Trade and Tourism, and Charles Chirambula, Deputy Minister of Health and Sanitation. President Mutharika observed that the country is facing severe impacts of climate change, including devastating floods that are claiming lives and causing huge damage to infrastructure.
I believe you will serve the Malawians with utmost integrity, diligence, and humility. You are joining a cabinet that has already started delivering tangible, positive results. Your appointment is not an appeasement, but to bring more capacity as we confront new challenges. Of late, we have seen devastating floods that have claimed lives and caused huge damage to the infrastructure of this country. This is a clear threat to the socio-economic progress of our country. I urge you to find workable solutions to these challenges as we gain traction with economic recovery.
He also advised them to observe the rule of law and avoid indulging in corrupt practices. The president said corruption is evil and it robs citizens of the services and opportunities they deserve and stores development.
I do not tolerate corruption. I promise you that I will unapologetically deal with anyone involved in corrupt practices, and there will be no sacred cows. I trust that you will rise to the occasion and resist any temptations. Once again, congratulations. Go and serve with honor and distinction.
Mutharika's administration has focused on addressing critical shortages of food, fuel, forex, and fertilizer. Since assuming office in October 2025, President Mutharika has prioritized these four areas to stabilize the struggling economy he inherited. The strategy involves both immediate and long-term structural reforms. Yamiganisi Mutowe, MBC Lilongwe.
Minister of Transport and Public Works, Japi Muhango, has assured the public that rehabilitation works of the M1 road are progressing well. Muhango made these remarks during an inspection tour of the M1 road. During the tour, the minister assessed the status of the ongoing works at Mpasadzi Bridge in Kasungu, which was recently washed away by heavy rains. Miriam Kaliza reports.
Government is said to be registering steady progress in the rehabilitation of key sections of the M1 road, a strategic transport corridor critical to national and regional trade. The project is part of the broader infrastructure development agenda aligned to Malawi 2063 and the Transport Master Plan. The rehabilitation works cover sections from the Kamuzu International Airport Junction to Kasungu, from Kasungu to Gender Trading Center, from Gender Trading Center to the Nzimba Turnoff and onward to Kacheche. The overall objective of the project is to build, maintain and efficiently utilize road infrastructure to support economic growth, improve access to social services and enhance income-generating activities. After touring the road up to Gender Trading Center, Minister of Transport and Public Works, Japi Muhango, expressed satisfaction with the pace of the works, noting that progress remains commendable despite the challenges encountered. Among the major setbacks was the washing away of Mpasadzi Bridge in Kasungu, which significantly increased the scope of work for the contractor. However, the minister said government, working closely with the Roads Authority and contractors, acted swiftly to restore traffic flow through a temporary crossing. He added that construction of a more durable semi-permanent diversion is currently underway.
Contractors from Lot 1 and Lot 2 doing their very best in terms of quality. Of course, in terms of time, there's been time lapse. They are behind schedule, of course, because of various reasons that have been given, all of them very convincing. As you are aware, in some instances, some important infrastructure has not been removed yet. So that is affecting contractors in terms of advancing their production. In regards to Mpasa's bridge, I'm glad to report to the nation that the contractor, ably supported by the roads authority, have moved swiftly to address this very, very huge problem. What have they done? Remember when the floods took place, they installed a temporary passageway that is currently in use. However, going forward and to make sure that we've got a much permanent solution, semi-permanent as they put it, they are now putting up another diversion which would then be taking traffic both sides. And I'm assured, very reassuring by the contractor and the roads authority that the one that they are putting up now should be able to withstand any amount of pressure. So that is good news to Malawians.
Meanwhile, Roads Authority Chief Executive Officer Engineer Amio Jampiti said the M1 rehabilitation project is divided into 4 lots. He noted that lots 1 and 3 are over 70% complete, while lots 2 and 4 stand at about 40% completion, largely due to flooding and compensation challenges. Engineer Shampiti added that Mpomwa Ngamenya alternative route remains passable and is currently being upgraded to ensure uninterrupted traffic flow in the event of further flooding.
The progress of the works has been considerably good, reasonably good over the past 1 year and some months. As we are talking, Lot 1 is approximately at 70% progress. Almost 70% of the road is now good, widened, strengthened with tarmac. Lot 2 is still hanging around 40% with approximately 33 kilometers finished road section. Lot 3 is also quite advanced, hovering over 70% completed, and Lot 4 similar to Lot 2, around 40% or so in progress with about 25 kilometers of finished road section. So taking it from the past few months, we are making good progress.
The widening and rehabilitation works cover a total of 301 kilometers, of which at least 107 kilometers have been completed and opened to traffic. The M1 road remains Malawi's most critical regional corridor, linking the country to neighboring countries and playing a vital role in trade mobility and economic growth. Miriam Kaliza, MBC News, Lilongwe.
Government has called for affordable financing opportunities to catalyze private sector growth in the 2026-2027 fiscal year. Minister of Finance Joseph Mwanamveka said this during the National Budget Consultation meeting that was held in Lilongwe. Mwanamveka noted that whilst the banking sector is charging highest rates on loans at 37%, interest paid on savings remains low at 4%, which is not healthy for the private sector growth and the overall health of the economy. Details in this report.
The 2026-2027 national budget consultations have commenced in Lilongwe against a backdrop of mounting economic pressures, including a growing public debt, weak domestic revenue performance, and a widening trade imbalance driven by high imports and stagnant exports. Minister of Finance Joseph Mwanamveka acknowledged that these challenges have significantly constrained fiscal space, with nearly 90% of government revenue now committed to statutory obligations. Despite the challenges, Mwanamveka stressed the need for the banking sector to shift its focus from government securities and channel more resources into private sector initiatives, which he described as critical for economic growth and job creation.
This is why our private sector. This is why our SMEs are failing to invest, because they have no source for them to get funding or to get that. So we want to reduce one, the rates, and two, also want to reduce the gap between the deposit and lending rates. That's our policy, and we'll make sure we do that, and I hope we'll get the support when we are working on that, because it's not the government that can not develop this economy. The private sector has a big role. After all, we normally say the private sector is the engine of the economy.
Meanwhile, the Economics Association of Malawi, ECAMA, has commended government for steps taken to restore macroeconomic stability, but has since pushed for more economic reforms. ECAMA President Zachitika urged government to fast-track the implementation of property tax, enhance revenue collection through digital systems, and reconsider tax exemptions granted to churches. And a representative of the minority shareholders of listed companies, Mr. Legal Chairperson Frank Harawa, has proposed the listing of some state-owned companies on the Malawi Stock Exchange as one way of reducing government expenditure.
For example, Sunbelt right now is listed on the Malawi Stock Exchange, and the government owns 1%. In the same way, government can list Salima Sugar, they can list Modze Park, they can list ESCOM. By doing that, we're not saying they must give everything. It will be just part of percentage, maybe 30%, and they can say we are giving it to indigenous Malawians. In that way, Malawians will raise capital and give to government for its other developments.
The 2026-2027 national budget consultations, which began Friday in Lilongwe, are expected to continue in Nzuzu and Blantyre later this coming week. Trust Office, MBC News, Lilongwe.
Government has pledged to strengthen operations of the Malawi Police Service by swiftly addressing challenges affecting the institution. Minister of Homeland Security Peter Mukito made the assurance during a familiarization tour of the Malawi Police Service headquarters in Lilongwe. He assured officers that government remains committed to improving their working conditions, describing this as critical to effective and efficient law enforcement. More in this report by Chinsinsi Moyo.
As part of efforts to appreciate the work of Malawi Police Service, Minister of Homeland Security Peter Mukito, accompanied by his deputy Norman Chisale, toured police headquarters in Lilongwe. Upon arrival, the two officials laid wreaths at the police memorial tower in honor of officers who lost their lives in line of duty. During the tour, Mukito inspected the ongoing construction of housing units for police officers and facilities for criminal investigation department. He assured officers that government will ensure timely completion of the houses, noting that prolonged delays would increase costs. At the Criminal Investigation Department, the minister observed that the unit is operating with outdated equipment. He pledged that the department will be modernized to enable officers to conduct investigations professionally and efficiently.
We have visited the houses. They are almost complete. What I have seen is what is remaining is the issue of electrical as well as the plumbing. And I know that I think the problem has been on our part as a government in terms of meeting the scheduled payments. And I'm told that the contractor already has submitted again the requirements to do. We'll be talking to the Minister of Lands and see where possible that we make sure that that payment is made. We also visited the fingerprints and we have seen that indeed they have quite a lot of problems in terms of skill development and also the equipment which they use. Most of the equipment which they are using they are outdated. And I think moving forward, what we need to do as a government is to make sure that we come in and support them, as everybody is aware that crime will ever continue to happen in the country.
Inspector General of Police Richard Luhanga commended the minister for his commitment to improving the welfare of police officers and strengthening the service's operational capacity.
I've talked to ministers, I've shared with him issues concerning the welfare of our officers, how we can improve the welfare of officers. There are a lot of needs that they may need, uniforms. We need also to be operationally ready. So I've showed him our capabilities and where our capabilities may be lacking and how they can support us. We've asked for more vehicles, we've asked for more investigative capabilities, we've asked for many things, in addition of letting them appreciate how we operate and how we do our business.
The Minister of Homeland Security also committed to addressing mobility challenges affecting the 997 Rapid Response Service, which continue to cause delays in responding to crime incidents. Chinsisi Moyo, MBC News, Lilongwe.
You are watching MBC News. A reminder of our top stories. President Mutharika has employed newly appointed deputy ministers to help government effectively deliver its development agenda. Government assures the public that rehabilitation works on the M1 road are progressing well. And in business, the major financial institutions in the country make cumulative profit of over 1.1 trillion kwacha in the just ended year. Welcome back. In maternal and health facilities, water, sanitation and hygiene wash services are crucial as they can make a difference between life and death for a mother and her newborn. In our special report this week, Meklina Chilwa sheds light on a pressing issue affecting healthcare facilities across the country.
In Chisi district, two health centers tell two very different stories. At Nkhani Health Center, a year without water has become a living nightmare for pregnant women and new mothers. Yet every month, the facility registers about 21 live births. 21 mothers who must deliver and recover in a place where taps are dry and buckets are scarce. On a metal-framed hospital bed lies Soflet Mangani 35, her newborn wrapped tightly against her chest. She says the situation is worrisome.
Welcome, but I was shocked to find there is no water. It is a major concern. We need support to ensure this facility keeps running smoothly.
The facility's medical assistant and in charge, Noel Ngwata, shakes his head in frustration, saying their work is being severely impacted because they can't effectively provide the much-needed care.
We have tried our best to go through all the angles where we could find the assistance, but it seems the issue about the pump, which is the main problem, is something which is not easily affordable, and reaching today we have not yet found the real answer to the problem.
But at the Kui Health Center, just a few kilometers away from this facility, the story is different. Milika Njovialema, a beaming newborn mother, cradles her baby in her arms, said the steady supply of water is a milestone at the facility.
The facility is really green, water is available, and I didn't have any issues cleaning up after delivery. Felt like I was in good hands.
Ethel Ombizi Kayange, nursing officer at Kui, had this to say.
A green environment is a win-win for everyone, patients and staff alike. We work better when it is progress and patients deserve top-notch care in a hygienic space. If the environment is dead, it is a major turn-off.
Lest Longani, senior nursing officer and infection prevention specialist at Nchisi District Health Office, admitted the situation at Nkosi.
For Kosi, I would say that at first he had a very good water supply system. Then, fortunately, a year ago, one of the pumps got damaged and it was supposed to be replaced. And as of now, the whole district and also the DHO is aware of it, and we are working so hard to rectify the problem, and we hope that we are going to fix that as soon as possible.
Other facilities like Mpamba Health Center in Nkatabe and in Mzuzu Urban Health Center are examples of what happens when wash services are prioritized. At Mpamba, 28-year-old Masozi Kamanga echoes America's gratitude that they don't struggle in terms of access to safe and potable water.
Water is a lifeline here. We rely on it for everything, from washing and bathing to drinking and many more.
Mzuzu Urban Community Hospital, with its good toilets and smart facilities, is a testament to the impact of investing in WASH. Florence Muntali, a 28-year-old mother from Masasa, expressed joy over the availability of water at the facility.
The environment is clean, water is available, toilets and bathrooms are top-notch, and even the sleeping areas are good.
Taonga Nyirongo, nursing officer and ward in charge at Mzuzu Urban Community Hospital, shares the sentiments.
If the ward is not clean, it means our patients are prone to infections. Consequently, we might end up losing babies due to pneumonia infections. So, ensuring cleanliness helps to make sure that we have got no infections in this ward.
George Jobe, health activist, stressed the need of investing in water, sanitation and hygiene in the health sector.
In a maternity, it is like you're almost closing that maternity wing because it cannot function without water, hygiene, and good sanitation.
According to the WHO and the UNICEF Joint Monitoring Program of 2023, 37% of healthcare facilities were without basic water services, while more than half lacked basic hygiene. As we live in Nkozi, the sounds of crying babies and worried mothers linger. Softly these words echo in our minds. Let's hope that soon Nkozi will be a story of hope, not heartbreak. Meklina Chirwa, MBC News, Mzuzu.
The Minister of Education, Science and Technology has urged graduates from the 28th Mzuzu University Mzuni graduation ceremony to use the knowledge they have acquired to help transform the country. Principal Secretary in the Ministry of Education, Science and Technology, Ken Ndala, made the call in Mzuzu during the graduation ceremony held in Mzuzu. Rudoviko Nyirenda reports.
Trumpets and vuvuzelas filled the Mzuzu auction floors as Mzuzu University held the 28th graduation ceremony to 2,283 graduates. This ceremony was a moment of joy for the graduates who celebrated with their families and relatives, putting behind them the sleepless nights endured during the course of their studies. Speaking during the ceremony, Ministry of Education, Science and Technology Secretary Ken Ndala encouraged the graduates to apply the knowledge and skills they have acquired to help transform the nation in line with the pillars of Malawi 2063.
These students, they have to look at the solutions. So when people are complaining that we have these as challenges, the students should be looking at the challenges and see how they can actually have the solutions. So anything that I think us as a country are going through, who else is going to do that? They are supposed to be the students that are actually coming from the universities. So it is very, very important because it also enhances the economic development of the country. For a country to develop their skills and innovation, if the innovations are not there, it will be very difficult.
In business news, major financial institutions in the country have made estimated cumulative profit of over 1.1 trillion kwacha in the just ended year. This is according to trading statements published by at least 6 financial firms that are listed on the Malawi Stock Exchange. Eileen Chimoyo reports.
According to published trading statements, each of the listed financial institutions is anticipating to post after-tax profits in excess of 100 billion kwacha for the year ended 31st December 2025. The year has seen a number of banks and insurance firms outperforming each other, with others set to post taxed profits as high as 200% compared to the preceding year. The 6 are Nico Holdings, National Bank of Malawi, NBS Bank, FCB Holdings, FDH, and Standard Bank. The highest profit is expected at Nikru Group of companies, estimated at 332 billion kwacha, trailed by National Bank, estimated between 190 and 211 billion kwacha. The development comes despite a number of economic challenges that rocked the local economy, such as a high inflation, low foreign exchange availability, and other factors that put a strain on disposable income of a significant part of the banked population. Market analysts have, however, attributed this to high interest rates, which helped banks and other financial institutions improve their interest margins and profitability. Such high-end profits also translate to a growth in revenue collection by the Malawi Revenue Authority, which helps the Treasury to fund the national budget. Aside from that, such institutions have often taken a percentage of their profits and channeled them towards corporate social responsibility, improving sectors such as health, education, and innovation. Elin Chimoyo, NBC News, Blantyre.
Betting firm Premier Bet has confirmed that the second major prize in its Waipula promotion, which is a Nissan Magnet vehicle, will be given away on 28 February. The promotion started last year and a similar vehicle was given away in June. Besides the vehicle, the company has been giving away other prizes like plasma screens and mobile phones. The company's community manager is Hamza Ngaye.
The last draw for this car here will be done in February 28th. 2025 has been a good year. We had a good response. Customers were participating and we are grateful for that. We want to encourage them to continue. We have a car here that's going. Anyone can have it. For us as Premier Bet, we also gave a lot of prizes apart from the car that we gave in June. We've given out 8 fridges. Yesterday we were also giving away a fridge in Lilongwe. There's also 10 TVs that we've given out and 2 motorbikes. Apart from that, there's smartphones, a lot of smartphones that we've been giving out weekly. So that's what we've done so far as in 2025. So January and February, we are also continuing the same. We'll be giving out, there's a TV that we'll be giving out in January. And in February, that's when we're giving out the car.
And that's it from our newsroom for now. But before we leave, a recap of our top stories. President Mutharika has employed newly appointed deputy ministers to help government effectively deliver its development agenda. Government assures the public that rehabilitation works on the M1 road are progressing well. And in business, the major financial institutions in the country make cumulative profit of over 1.1 trillion kwacha in the just ended year. Keep up to date with our news coverage on our digital platforms by scanning the QR code at the top right corner of your TV screen. You are with me, Simon Boyce. Thanks for watching and bye for now.